Hey guys, it's Shelly and welcome back to the Vintage Hen and Chick, and a special welcome if you're new. In today's video, it's all about rusty, crusty metal and transfers. And if you know anything about me, I love anything that's rusty and crusty, and I love to make it beautiful again with different techniques, and using transfers on rusty, crusty metal is one of my favorite things. So if that's something that you're interested in, or if you enjoy trash to treasure upcycles, thrift flips, furniture flips, or just crafting in general, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and that way you'll get notified whenever I upload a new video. And let's get started. For project 1, I have this metal, it looks like a toolbox to me, not really sure, but I picked it up super cheap and I love how it's beat up looking, and I thought adding some transfers to this would make it really beautiful. And so I'm just using a bunch of scrap transfers that I have laying around. I keep all of my scraps. I'm using different transfer scraps from different transfer sets. This particular transfer that I'm using is from an IOD transfer set called Candy Cane Cottage. And so with transfers, they have a sticky backing, and so you pull off the transfer paper off the back of your transfer and you lay it down where you want it on your surface. And then you use the clear tool that I have here. It's called the transfer tool. You use that to rub over your transfer, and you just rub and gently lift up the transfer from one side, and then you can see that the transfer is adhered underneath. And then I just take my fingers and then the back of the transfer vellum and I rub it over the transfer to make sure that it's adhered to the project. And this transfer side over here, you can see that I lifted it up after it had stuck a little bit, and a little bit of that transfer stuck to the metal, but no worries. I just laid it right back down where I wanted to do it. And I'm using my transfer tool again and rubbing on the transfer and then peeling back the vellum as the transfer is adhering to the toolbox. And one thing about transfers and metal is it sticks really well. And so you need to make sure that wherever you're laying your transfer, when you're working with metal or glass, you want to make sure that you have your transfer exactly where you want, or some of it might stick once you pull it up when you're laying it back down again, which is what happened to me. But like I said, it didn't matter. I just laid it back down and you can't even tell that I made a mistake there. Now this particular transfer piece that I'm applying right now comes from the IOD Brocante transfer set. And the Brocante transfer set is one of my favorite IOD transfer sets. It's so versatile. I've used it on so many projects and I just love it. So again, I just laid my transfer down. I'm using my transfer tool and rubbing on the transfer and gently pulling up the vellum when the transfer is stuck to my toolbox. And I'm going to continue to do this with a few more pieces of transfer for this toolbox. And there's no rules with transfers. You don't have to use the same transfers from the same transfer set. Mix and match, mix it up. That's what I'm doing here. I'm using different transfers from different transfer sets and just placing them where I think they're going to look nice. So use your imagination and do what you want. There's no rules at all. This is another scrap piece of transfer from the IOD Brocante transfer set. It's just some text or handwritten text. I thought it would look good there. Like I said before, there's no rules. Put them where you want and how you want them. And then on the front of the toolbox, I'm also going to use a chunk of transfer scrap from the Brocante set. And I thought it would look nice on this front of the toolbox. One thing you do want to do with your transfers is you want to seal them in. And because this toolbox is going to be used as a decor piece, it doesn't necessarily have to be sealed in, but I do like to seal things in regardless most of the time. And especially because this toolbox is metal, I am going to seal it in. I don't show it in the video, but once I have all the transfers on, I took the toolbox outside and then I sealed it with Guardsman Weather Defense, which is a metal spray sealer that works really good on metal or anything with rust or anything like that. And it'll seal in the transfer, it'll seal in the paint, and it'll make sure that everything stays around and doesn't chip or scratch off. So I'll continue to add this last piece of the transfer, and like I said, I did take it outside and I sealed it with the Guardsman Weather Defense, and then this project will be done. Here is the completed toolbox. I think it turned out beautiful. I just love it. I love the way it looks with the red and the pinks and the contrasting greens, and it's all ready to be styled and put somewhere in someone's house. What do you guys think? For project 2, I have this old metal, I think it's a TV tray. I'm not entirely sure. But look at how rusty and crusty and beat up looking it is. I just love it. I like the way it looks as is, but I thought it would look even better with a transfer added to the surface on the top. So that's what I'm going to do with this project. I am going to take a transfer and add it to the top of this metal, let's call it a TV tray, because I don't know what it is exactly. And this transfer that I'm using is called Earthy Bouquet, and this is a Dixie Belle transfer. And I just love the way the flowers on this transfer contrast with the faded and rusty metal red of the TV tray. And so like all transfers, you lay your transfer down where you want it. You use your transfer tool and rub over the transfer, and then gently start peeling up from one side and just work your way from one side to the other. Take your time. It's really easy. Like I said before, transfers stick real well to metal. I've never really had a problem getting any transfers to stick to metal surfaces. So I'm going to continue to rub on the transfer and peel it up from one side to the other until the transfer is completely attached. Now this tray, when you put it away, it folds up, and so you see that there's a crease in the middle of the tray. And so I'm just using my X-Acto knife to go through the crease and cut where the transfer is. And then I will fold up the tray a little bit and use the back of my transfer sheet to burnish in that transfer in the crack there to make sure it's nice and adhered to the tray. And so I'll keep doing that over the whole transfer. And then because this tray is so old and beat up looking, I wanted to make the transfer look beat up as well. So I'm just using my finger sander here with 220 grit sandpaper in it and going over the transfer just to kind of rough it up a little bit to make it match the tray a little bit better. And then this tray is done, and I think this turned out really great. I love the way this transfer looks on that beat up metal tray. I love the look of the metal tray with all its imperfections, and I wouldn't change a thing. What do you guys think? One thing I forgot to mention is I did take the tray outside and I did clear coat it with a coat of Guardsman Weather Defense over the top of the tray, because I figured whoever ends up with this beautiful tray probably will want to keep something on the surface. And I just wanted to make sure that it was protected and that nothing would happen to the transfer. Project 3 is this metal cart with this beautiful enamelware top. I believe originally the whole cart was one time all white and someone had gone and painted the lower half of the cart, but that's okay. I like the dark and the white contrast, and I'm gonna add a transfer to the front of the cart. I know that some of the paint is chipping and peeling in places, and I don't care. I like that look. And so the transfer that I'm using on the cart today is also from the Brocante transfer set. And what I did is I cut out and pieced where I wanted my transfer pieces to lay. And then I used some blue tape to hold them in place. That way, once I'm adhering them, they get put exactly where I want them to be. So I'm just gonna start by peeling off the backing of the transfer, but leaving the blue tape on. That way it doesn't shift and it lays down where I want it to lay. And like I said before, transfers in metal, they stick really well, which is why I wanted to use the blue tape to hold it in place to get it exactly where I want it. And I'm gonna use my transfer tool to rub over the transfer to get it adhered to the metal cart. I'll rub the whole transfer and then I'll start slowly peeling up one side of the transfer, working from one side to the other, and then burnishing it as the transfer is completely applied. So here I am, just lifting it up, and then you can see that the transfer is adhering to my project. And one thing with transfers also, you can kind of tell when they're adhering to your surface because they kind of turn an opaque color. So I'll continue to adhere my transfer to this side of the door, and then I will work on the other side of the door. And once I have the transfer on this metal cabinet, I do take it outside and I give it a nice coat of the Guardsman Weather Defense just to protect the transfer. And it works really well for anything metal surfaces. So what do you guys think? This is the completed cabinet with the transfer on it. And I think it just turned out so beautiful. I love the contrast of the black paint with the white flowers in the transfer. I think it turned out great. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope that I've inspired you to upcycle your rusty, crusty metal items that you may have laying around in your attic or your garage, because it's so much fun to turn it into something more current or more your style. I'll be back next week with another video, and I hope to see you then. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell, and that way you'll get notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.